I'm going to go ahead and apologize for any potential rain or thundering that you hear in the background because it's currently raining a lot where I currently live. So it's, kind of annoying that that's the case and has to happen as I'm recording, but what can you do? But we're back with another My Hero Academia episode. And from the previews, it seemed like that they were going to focus a lot on Bakugo. And they do for part of the episode, which I don't mind because I mentioned it before, but I feel like Bakugo's character was something that was, always pretty much wasted because for the past like 2 seasons, he hasn't really done a whole lot. And he actually gets a lot of time to shine and grow and change and develop, and actually shows that it's been a gradual thing that's been happening over time. And although I like that, I'm going to go ahead and say something about it that I don't like after I talk about the first half of the episode, which really just shows off like how much Deku has grown and changed when it comes to actually using his one for all quirk, right? So obviously he already had the ability to, for the longest time, to be able to basically have like super strength. He can move really fast, he can have super strength and do all this other shit, right? Similar to All Might, and then he eventually unlocked the ability to use Black Whip, which looks really cool, and I actually really like him using it, and he uses it in really creative and different ways than I was anticipating him to really use it. Especially in this episode, he uses it to grab everybody and goes straight up into the air because I'm actually going to also mention something as well that happened at the end of last week's episode that I thought was going to happen. Aizawa is hit from the eraser bullet, which was the bullets that Overhaul created in Season 4, where if you get hit by it, then your quirk is gone. I thought Aizawa was going to lose his quirk completely, right? Turns out that's not actually what ended up happening. What ended up happening was he got hit by the eraser bullet, so that didn't change. But then this dude takes his knife and cuts off his whole fucking leg, dude. Not the whole leg, but he cuts off the area where the bullet actually hit his leg. I was genuinely surprised by that. I didn't think he was actually going to do that. And I didn't think it would actually even really work, but it did. He still has his quirk, presumably. But it doesn't really matter because in that moment when Aizawa had to cut off his leg, he got distracted and closed his eyes. So Shigaraki was able to move in and basically incapacitate him for the time being, to where Shigaraki can now use his decay quirk. And so Midoriya in the episode basically pretty much spends the entirety of the first half trying to keep Shigaraki suspended from the air, because as soon as he's able to touch the ground, everything's getting destroyed. Literally fucking everything. All the heroes in the area, the civilians down nearby, the rest of the city. A lot of people are going to die. A lot of things are going to end up getting destroyed. He had to stop them. So Deku uses Black Whip to carry everybody, right? Not just himself and Shigaraki, but everyone in the general vicinity of the area. Vicinity, that's what it is. And uses the float quirk from Nanashimura, the seventh wielder. Yeah, the seventh wielder of One for All. And I guess he's been trying to get used to using that, which was really cool to see that in the episode. So pretty much like what the float quirk just allows him to do is that it stops his forward and it stops his any momentum entirely and allows him to just like stop in place. But then he can also use it to fly, which is what Nanashimura would actually use her quirk for. And then as well, because she was, and she had One for All, she had all the basic All for One abilities that you got. Or I haven't seen All for One for All, sorry. But it was really cool seeing him pull out this quirk out of nowhere that he had actually been working on and trying to get used to, because we see a flashback, which I'm going to go ahead and continue talking about like Bakugo, because he's kind of like the main centerpiece. But we get to a flashback and he's basically training with Sero, Uraraka, and Tsuyu Asoi. And what the training was really meant for him to do was to get used to maneuvering his body whilst in midair. And then also get used to using like Black Whip as like the way that Sero uses it, or like the way Aizawa uses it. And Bakugo's actually trying to help him train and get used to actually using the worker, because he's doesn't really know how to use it. So Bakugo's there to help, and then a couple of the other friends are there to help as well. It's then there that it shows off that he's actually like trying to get used to using the float quirk of One for All. but he hasn't really manifested it completely to where he's able to use it for flight. Which really he doesn't necessarily need, to be completely honest, but it's nice to have, I guess. But the rest of the of that part of the flashback focuses on Bakugo and All Might having a conversation with one another. And this is the part of the episode that I actually really like the most, because it took all but just this one fucking moment with Bakugo where he isn't screaming and insulting a whole bunch of people for me to actually give a shit about him and actually like him a little bit. So in this part of the episode, in the flashback, he's talking with All Might, and it's pretty much revealed that it's revealed that he actually genuinely gives a shit about Midoriya, because even though he spent so many years bullying this kid, right, because of just this just not being able to understand why Deku was the way that he was, right? He didn't understand why, when they were kids, when Bakugo fell into the river and almost hurt himself, why he went in to go try to help him, because Bakugo was very self-centered. He was very selfish, and he never understood why he would do that. That was one of Bakugo's weaknesses. He never took into consideration for anybody else. He was very, like I said, self-centered and selfish, and he only focused on himself and not anyone else. Midoriya was the exact opposite. He never truly thought about himself. He always thought about everyone else. That was one of the reasons why he wanted to be a hero, because he wanted to go and help other people instead of protecting himself. That's why he puts himself on the line so many times, and that's what he's doing in the episode when not in the flashback. So that's revealed that, he acknowledges the weaknesses and something that's actually amazing about Midoriya, but then he also reveals that he actually genuinely gives a shit about Deku, because for some reason the fourth user, they don't know anything about him or how he died. Deku doesn't know. He doesn't have it written down or anything. Bakugo obviously doesn't know, and All Might doesn't even really know what happened. So he thinks that something very suspicious happened to the fourth user in some way, somehow. And he's talking to All Might about this, trying to get information, but All Might tells him that he doesn't know anything, and it's best to just not try to assume something when you don't really know what happened. But he understands that Bakugo's only asking because All Might cares about Midoriya, but it's because Bakugo also cares about Midoriya. He actually genuinely gives a shit about him. And I think it's just because, the reason why he does now is because they've truly grown a friendship with one another, right? He doesn't hate this kid anymore for something that he did when they were kids. He's grown, he's matured, he's changed. And he's not like how he was before. He's not super self-centered anymore. He doesn't try to do everything on his own anymore. He will use the assistance of other allies if he deems it necessary, which most of the time it is. And Bakugo just isn't the same kid that he was back in the first season. He's actually finally matured and grown up, right? He's not the same shit-eating little bitch anymore, right? He's starting to go down the path that he needs to in order to become a proper, actual fucking hero. And I really like that. I really like that this moment happened. The only gripe that I have with it is I wish this didn't happen and was relegated to a flashback. I feel like they could have worked this in some way, somehow, in season 5, and it would have worked. I don't know. Just my opinion, they could have worked it in sometime in between, like in season 5 when they were training with the other students from class 1B. And I feel like it would have worked. I feel like it would have been actually fine. I feel like it would have been a whole lot better if they didn't just kept this relegated as a flashback. That was the only thing that really annoyed me about it. But I like that moment, and then what ends up happening later on in the episode, as they're still trying to fight this guy, Bakugo ends up coming up with the plan to be able to, of basically shooting himself with Endeavor on his back, and Todoroki keeping him cooled down so that way Endeavor can use Prominence Burn to be able to use his full power on Shigaraki and try to basically kill him, because they're not going to be able to restrain him. And that's when All for One properly takes full control over Shigaraki's body. Shigaraki does not have any control over his body and his mind anymore. All for One is taking full control, and he gets rid of Endeavor, and he goes straight towards Midoriya, because Midoriya is the wielder of One for All, and All for One has always had this rivalry with people who are connected with his brother in some way. It's happened time and time over and over again, and he's going straight for Midoriya. And it finally comes full circle, and this moment that I actually also really liked as well, where it's come full circle. You know, back in when they were little kids, Midoriya instinctively his body moved on his own to go help out his friend who he thought was not okay, who he thought was injured and was in danger. Bakugo does the exact same thing where he reaches out towards Midoriya, pushes him out of the way, and then steps in the line of the attack that All For One had shot at him. And I thought that was great. I thought that was incredible, right? It took just this one part of this one episode, just one half rather, to really get me to start growing on Bakugo, because for a long time I just didn't care about him. I thought he was, you know, basically just a wasted character. He didn't really grow or change at all. He wasn't maturing. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't anything, right? He was just another character that was given the treatment of being one of the main characters, but didn't really have the development and change of an actual main character. Now he actually is properly growing and changing, and I can only hope that this actually just continues on even further. You know, if it just stops here, full track. You know, if the track just stops here, and it doesn't get to its next destination for the journey that Bakugo has to go through in order to become a top hero, then that's gonna be really disappointing. I'm gonna really fucking hate that. But for now, I'm gonna enjoy what I got. Bakugo was really cool in this episode. I'm really happy about it, and I think that's about as pretty much as what I can appreciate from this episode. We go back in the first half, by the way, to see Giganto Machia like rushing through all the fucking cities and shit, and he's pretty much on the loose. The heroes couldn't really slow him down. The anesthetics that Momo created, I guess, aren't really doing anything. Who knows if they're actually doing anything? Giganto Machia, though, is just he's just moving. He's just killing a bunch of people trying to get to his master. What's going to happen next week? I have no idea. I think somehow inside of like Midoriya's mind, him and the previous wielders are going to communicate with All For One in some way. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no fucking clue. What's going to happen with everyone else? I think some of the other classmates are going to rush over to help out Deku and the others. I'm not really sure. Deku got a lot of time to shine. He looked really fucking cool in this episode. I really enjoyed him. Bakugo was also really good in this episode. I really enjoyed his growth and his character development. I hope this doesn't stop for him. I hope that he actually continues further down his path of becoming a better character. Because if he doesn't, like I said, I'm going to be really fucking angry. Because like I said, he has a lot of potential. It's been mostly wasted. And if it's wasted even fucking more, I'm going to seriously not watch this fucking series anymore. I'm probably not going to do that. But I'm seriously just not going to give a shit about his character any further if this happens again. I hope this momentum for Bakugo continues to keep going. I want to like him more. I really hope it happens. Shame it only took like 5 fucking seasons since season 1 for that to happen. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say about the episode. I really enjoyed it. There were 2 really key moments that happened, 2 really key things that made me really like the episode. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Really happy with it. This is one of the better episodes of the entire series, to be honest. But this is probably like the best episode of the season so far. But that could obviously change depending on how much further this goes on and on and on. But, you know, I kind of fully expect the whole season to be about this, but I don't know. It sort of feels like they're getting closer to the end of this whole arc. I don't know. It just sort of feels like that. I don't know if it is. Maybe they're just going to go ahead and do something else for the second half. I don't know what they're going to do, but if it does, then I don't know. I kind of felt like this could have gone on longer and more characters could have gotten even bigger development and change and growth and development and all that. Anyways, I'm sort of just repeating myself at this point. I do apologize for that. Anyways, if you liked the video, be sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'm going to go get some sleep because I'm really tired. I'm out. Peace.